A lot of people, they think bodybuilding is an individual sport. Partly that is true. You are the one lifting the weights by yourself. You are the one getting on stage by yourself. But a lot of people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes and the team effort that is required for the best of the best to get on stage and be successful at the highest level, being the Mr. Olympia. When you think about the greats of our sport, you think of guys like Dexter Jackson, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Ty Green, Phil Heath, right now Nick Walker, we got Hunter Lebrano, Andrew Jacked. All these guys are so elite. Best physiques in the world, biggest and best physiques in the world. But these guys didn't get there alone. When I think about these athletes, their coach comes to mind right away. When I think of Ronnie Coleman, I think of Chad Nichols. When I think about Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Derek Lunsford, Nicole Wilkins, these are all guys that Hani Rambod coached for Olympia title. Nick Walker, who's a top contender at this year's Olympia, is working with Matt Jansen over the past decade. He's become one of the new and upcoming coaches in bodybuilding. He's coached guys like Dallas McCarver, rest in peace. One of my big buddies passed away. Gosh, I believe it's been like probably 6 or 7 years now. Neil Hill, he's coaching Flex Lewis. He also coaches one of my biggest rivals in men's physique, Brandon Hendrickson. These guys got to this elite level, not on their own or not through their own knowledge, but what they've been able to do as a team with their coach to bring their best. Being a competitor myself, I won 4 Olympias in the men's physique division. I worked very closely with Hani Rambod, the most winning coach in the history of our sport. He's won, I believe, 24 Olympia titles. 4 of those of which I got for him. Working with Hani, I started at a very young age. I was about 22 years old when I signed with EVG Nutrition. My knowledge wasn't up to where it needed to be, so it was like a cheat code having Hani Rambod in my corner from the very beginning of my career. It put me on a trajectory that was a lot quicker to the top than most people would have had done by themselves. And I attribute a lot of my success to Hani Rambod and the lessons he's taught me and the coaching he gave me, throughout the years of my career. When you're working with a coach that's online, if you don't have a solid foundation of knowledge, you're not going to be able to excel with just an online coach. Bodybuilding consists of the 3 major things: weightlifting, training, cardio, and your diet. When you're working with an online coach, they might be able to write you a training program, but if you're not able to execute those workouts with proper technique and form or intensity, when you're looking for an online coach, you have to make sure you understand the fundamentals of bodybuilding. I use this as an example. If you aren't going to go hire Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan shooting coach if you don't even know how to dribble a basketball. You're going to be wasting your time, you're wasting your money, because there's things that you're able to do on your own to develop your skill set in order to work with somebody elite to bring you to that next level. They have so much more to offer. Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but I don't think people really understand the commitment that it takes from yourself personally, and also finding a coach that's going to invest themselves in you to bring out the best version of yourself. So it's really important for you to have a great client to coach relationship. You have to be on the same page with these guys. You have to be able to trust your coach 100%. And when you start mixing 2 different plans together, they collide and it explodes into a disaster. Everybody's body responds differently to their training. They respond differently to their food. So every coach has a very specific plan for that individual. But if you start bringing in external factors that your coach doesn't assign to you, these variables become an issue. You have to fully commit to them. Even if sometimes you don't agree or not understand why they're doing something.
A lot of winning is there.
I feel like I put my head through a fucking wall. Your coach has a reason for it. And that's why it's really important to do your homework. And everybody is an online coach nowadays. Somebody can go in and compete in a local show and say it took 2nd place, but there's only 2 people in their class. And then next thing you know, if they're an online coach, hey, I placed 2nd, I'm nationally qualified, this is why you should work with me. It happens way more than you guys think. That's why when I worked with Hani, I took so much from it, was because I was able to trust Hani through his experience. Hani's track record, he worked with Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, guys that I idolized growing up in the sport. So I had such a trust in Hani, and everything that he said I never questioned because it was coming from the best. So for those of you guys that want to bodybuild, understand what you guys are getting yourself into, because it's probably going to be the hardest thing you ever go through, but it's going to probably be one of the most addicting things you will ever go through. There's no greater reward than putting yourself through a 16 to 20 week prep, struggling day in and day out to stay consistent and perfect, not only your diet, your training, your cardio, but doing these things in a super surplus of food in your off season where you're at the point of wanting to vomit after every meal. We made some adjustments to the diet. I actually puked a little bit during my leg workout. So all the way to the fact when you're dieting down for a contest prep and you're in a huge deficit where you're barely able to get out of bed in the morning because your body's so sore, so tired, but you gotta get up. If you guys wanna pursue this and you're starting at the very bottom. That's okay, we all started at the very bottom. But you gotta take the right steps to gain the knowledge, gain the wisdom, and gain the experience to put yourself at a place that'll be competitive. So do your homework by looking up past footage, looking at old pictures of shows, because you don't want to get on stage and be completely blindsided and be the person that people in the crowd are like, damn, that guy forgot to diet. Because that's the shit that we talk in the audience, you know? Everybody sees these things. Understanding that you are being judged in a subjective sport, that these judges on the panel are the ones that are gonna be picking you apart, telling you that this isn't good enough or that's not good enough. After dedicating week after week, month after month, year after year into your physique and into what you do, just to have somebody tell you, that guy's better than you. It's a very, very tough pill to swallow. It's something that you're gonna come across as a competitor. Everybody loses at one point in time. It's how you handle those losses. You know, picking yourself back up, being true to yourself and realistic with yourself, pick apart your weaknesses and do everything you can to make them your strengths. Having a coach takes the guesswork out of things. It gives you an unbiased opinion of where you truly are. A lot of people are really either very overconfident with themselves or they lack self-esteem. Early in my career, I was overconfident. I always thought I looked better than I did, and Hani brought me back to reality plenty of times. My last prep, working with Waddy Watkins, coming back after 4 or 5 years, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I lost a lot of self-esteem in this sport. I lost a lot of confidence in the sport because of the outside noise coming in, telling me that, you know, the division had outgrown me. I didn't even decide to compete until Waddy called me probably a year before. He said, hey man, come out to Denver and train me. I think it was like October or something in 2022. You know, at that time I had been working out again for about a year. I packed on some good size. I think I was around 200 pounds all in out there. And you know, he looked at me and he goes, what's your goal? What are your plans, Jeremy? And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough anymore. And he stopped me dead in my tracks right there. And he told me, you are, you will, and we are, and we will. And it sparked a fire in me. I want you guys to understand that a coach is not just there for you to write you a diet, but a coach is also gonna be there to pick you up in those low moments, and he's also gonna bring you back down when you're a little too high. So you guys gotta find somebody that you can fully invest yourself into and fully trust, because that's when you're gonna be at your all-time best. Waddy showed up every single day for me in the gym. Pushed me through every workout. No matter how down I was, he made sure to pick me up, give me a pep talk, and snap me back to reality.
Take 8 weeks maybe.
Fucking breathe it out. Talk to me, vent that out.
On a day like this, you gotta be thinking ahead, watching him, thinking ahead of like what we need to do. And
you are gonna have those low moments and you need somebody that's gonna be able to snap you out of it. Especially as you guys progress through your career and work your way up the ranks. It becomes more and more necessary because the pressure gets more and more. As I was getting closer and closer and more confident in my physique, the conversation started to shift about Jeremy. You know, at the very beginning of prep, Jeremy doesn't belong on Olympia stage. He's not gonna be in the top 15. And then I started getting a little better and better because I was consistent in my work and my effort. Waddy was very meticulous about keeping track of my food and my diet. I had a lot of things I was trying to accomplish this year on my prep, as I've discussed in previous videos. But going into that Olympia as an underdog, all prep, to being somebody that was talked about potentially winning, I mean, that just goes to show what bodybuilding is. It's consistency, passion, focus, drive, intensity, all these things accumulating over my prep to get me to that spot that I was at, you know, 3 or 4 days out. And I remember going into Kissimmee Muscle Gym on the Wednesday before the show, and I trained with my 3 Filipino bros, Jeremy Potvin, Jonas Jimena, and Joe Sagabayin. All these guys are Olympians, very, very good. And we went in and trained together, and I started an oversized t-shirt, and we're pumping, we're working out. And I peeled the oversized t-shirt off and I got a stringer on and the head started to turn. I noticed that everybody in the gym was looking at me, and this place was packed. Like, there were probably 20 of the guys I was competing against in the men's physique division there. There were coaches from all over the world. And I remember Omar Ventura, legendary men's physique coach, very good mentor of mine in my early career. And Omar came up to me, he was like, damn bro, you did it. Because you really effing
was
did
he
it.
a little shithead in high school too?
I didn't know that.
And I looked at him and I was like, I did, man, because you're gonna win this shit again. And hearing that from him, I was like, damn, I might win this thing again. And Waddy was like, I've been telling you. He's like, no, Jimmy, I've been telling you, dude. You have it. You have everything it takes. That was one of the best days that I experienced right there, because I actually believed what everything everybody was telling me on the way. I didn't see my potential at the beginning of my prep, but my coaches did, my friends and my family did. And that's why I get back to saying this, people saying this isn't a team sport. No, we go on stage by ourselves, but there is a village behind us that is gonna help facilitate the best version of yourself. Without that village behind me, honestly, I probably would have quit because of how shitty I was feeling, not just emotionally, but physically. Wadi being my trainer and coach at the time, he was able to adjust my workout program so I can get through my training sessions with as minimal pain as possible. These are the type of things that he was able to do from not only a coaching perspective, but a training perspective. And that's why I left Sacramento to finish my prep in Denver. I needed the diet and the training, but I needed that emotional support, which he brought to the table. And that was a big question. Wadi's not one of the biggest names in the industry. He's not very big on social media, doesn't like doing interviews. And a lot of people were asking me, why did you pick Wadi as your coach? Well, the truth is Wadi's been a friend of mine since the very beginning of my career. Somebody that's never asked me for anything, someone that's always had a genuine interest in my well-being and my success. And every single Olympia that I did win, Wadi was in my hotel room the night before praying for me. So that carried a lot of weight. And I had a lot of trust in this man because I knew that he was gonna dedicate himself to this prep because he wanted to see me succeed. And that goes a long way. Your coach has to want it as bad as you do. And that's partly one of the reasons why it's been so hard for me to coach in the past, because I get so emotionally attached. I'm still very emotionally attached to my clients and how well they do. But from a coaching perspective, from a personal perspective, I've learned to be able to handle those losses and learn from them and use that as fuel for my clients and my athletes to become better. My bikini pro, Cynthia Beltran, a few weeks ago, she made her pro debut in Tahoe. She won the Masters 35 class in pro bikini, and she took second place in the open division. And from my personal perspective, sitting up in the first couple of rows, I had a very good seat. I thought she deserved it, but instead of bitching and complaining about it, I looked at her, I go, this is just how bodybuilding goes. Some days they're gonna think you're the winner, and some days they're not. You gotta keep your head held high, you gotta make the adjustments, and you gotta show up just as good, if not better, at the following show. And what I'm getting at, you guys, is you guys are trying to get your pro card. If you guys are trying to win a pro show, or you guys are trying to make the Olympia, if you find a coach that writes you a program, here's your last month of prep, and they have all your diets listed out for you, that program's not gonna work for you. Because even if they have all the experience in the world, they aren't gonna know how your body's gonna respond 2 or 3 weeks from now. You can ask any of the top guys, their diets go day by day. Sometimes they even go meal by meal. Because as a coach with experience, we can see the things that you guys can't see. With Cynthia, earlier this week, I pulled her carbs down. She was getting softer, the scale wasn't budging. I was like, something's not right, something's not working. I added more carbs in, I gave her 4 carb meals. In my mind, I was like, you know what? She's flat, her body's tired, she's been pushing herself for so long, her body was fatigued. It was stressing out. So I implemented some more carbs, it sped her metabolism up, and she started dropping weight immediately. Usually she was up 3 or 4 pounds from morning to nighttime. She weighed herself in that morning. She was less by the time she went to sleep, and she ate more food. So these are like the little details I'm talking about. So I kept her carbs up these last few days, and she's been getting better and better and better. Eating more food, I'm watching that scale come down as she gets tighter and tighter. That came from experience of understanding how the body works, where she's at in her prep, and that's why I was able to make those adjustments. And as a coach to my clients,
Don't lean back. Bring your chest over. There you go, right there. See a little difference like that?
I take a lot of pride in communication. Communication is very key, even in your off season. I make sure I talk to my clients in their off season a minimum of 1 time a week. I always have them send their check-ins and their photos, and I make adjustments accordingly. But once my clients get 4 or 6 weeks out, I'm talking to them on a lot regular basis, especially when they get 2 weeks out. So I'm constantly manipulating diets those last few weeks to figure out how your body responds to the best types of food, and also how long it takes you to fill out. Come peak week, I'm not gonna send you over a sheet of paper that has Monday through Saturday's diet, because I don't know what you're gonna look like on Thursday or Friday. I have to be able to see you morning and evening, every single day, to see how your body responds. And that way, I'm gonna be able to make the right decision to feed you the right food, to give you the right amount of water, so you get on stage at your personal best. And that's the difference between a regular coach and a good coach. So for you guys out there that are looking to take that first step in your bodybuilding journey or even your fitness journey by itself, I can offer you guys that top tier coaching, that attention, the communication, the advice, the encouragement that's needed for you to push through those tough times. I will give you the right programs to help you avoid plateaus, to constantly progress as you go. I've been through this, you guys. I've worked with the best in the world. I've obtained the most prestigious title in our sport, not once, but 4 times in a row. I've won, I've lost, and when it comes to the next generation of athletes, as I'm heading towards the end of my career in bodybuilding on stage, I love this sport, you know, and there's more I have to bring to the table outside of competing. And that is you guys, the next generation. I want to build you guys up, develop you guys, not only as competitors, but as individuals on stage, because like I said before, the lessons you learn in bodybuilding, the principles you learn from bodybuilding, the discipline you learn from bodybuilding will transpire into everything else in your life, which will ultimately lead you to more success. So I'm giving you guys the blueprint. All you have to do is trust me, follow the plan, and you will see success. Let's get started, guys.